when you're comfortable, I think that makes the people you're working with comfortable. So they see like, oh, you know, like she's great. She accepts herself. She accepts me. She's very body positive. You know, she's encouraging. She wants me to be safe and comfortable. And these are the vibes that we want to give off. So I do a lot of ear work. So like styling of the ear, piercing in the ears. And there's probably 20 or so piercings you can do in your ear. And say you want a certain look. Maybe you don't have the anatomy. Maybe that piece, you know, that fold, it doesn't work. So I'll try and be like, well, let's look at this or try something new to suggest something else. It's humbling to be like, you know what, maybe I was having an off day. Maybe I didn't do this, you know, the best that I can. And
I'm here with Shannon, who works at Diamond Tattoos in Summerfield, so I'm excited. You guys are in for a real treat. So how are you doing today?
Doing great.
That's good. All right, so tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am a professional body piercer. I pierce 3 days a week at Diamond Tattoos. I also do a lot of jewelry sales, gold jewelry. I manage a lot of the ordering of the jewelry and styling, things like that.
Okay, and you all do that at the tattoo shop and piercing shop?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into doing that?
So I always have loved tattoos and piercings. From a young age, I started, you know, being really interested in it, trying to meet people in the industry. The owner of the shop I actually met when I was probably like 16. I started getting pierced by her, tattooed by her. When she opened Diamond Tattoos, I was so excited. I, you know, kept going to her throughout the years. And I spent many years managing offices, and I was bored. And when a position opened up for reception at the tattoo shop, I was like, why not? You know, like, let's do something different. And once I did reception, I ended up managing the shop for about a year. And I, again, was like, this is not what I want to do. And I started really looking into becoming a piercer. I've always loved the way it looks, you know, how it makes people feel, you know, being able to express yourself through your piercings, your tattoos. And so that's how it started.
Okay, so your interest just kind of grew and you
Yeah.
decided that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Now I have a quick question just because I'm ignorant and I don't really know I know some stuff, but I'm not I don't really know that many people that do like tattoos or piercings. Honestly, I just don't. I think all of that's like really cool and interesting. And I don't have tattoos because I have eczema, and so like I just don't really want to spend $500 on a tattoo and then it be completely covered. And so it's kind of always been that thing, like a negative for me. I let my wife get all the tattoos for me.
Hey.
I'm for that.
Got your ears pierced?
I do, and that's pretty much all. I mean, I never really did anything crazy, but to go back to my question was, now do you have to do like a residency like type thing?
So for piercings in Florida, you do have to have, at a minimum, a year of apprenticeship.
That's what the word I was looking for.
And you do have to be certified. So you have to take an 8-hour course, which is taught by Michael Crea, and he works with the health department, and it is an 8-hour in-person learning just about bloodborne pathogens, biomedical waste, things like that. So that at a minimum.
Okay, so you have to have that, and then you have to have an apprenticeship. You said that. Okay. So did you do that there?
So I started in a weird time where like I started piercing and then COVID happened. Oh, so I didn't get a full apprenticeship per se. I learned from a piercer there. Her name's Jenny, and she's still there. We pierce opposite to each other on the schedule, and I would come in on my days off and learn from her and watch her. Also, Margaret, the owner, she was living 5 hours away at the time, so I didn't get a lot of in-person time with her, and she's been piercing many, many years. She's one of the originals in the area, and I would get a day here and there with her to kind of soak in that knowledge. So things were difficult around that time to learn, but also in this age, there's so much online education. So since I was stuck at home and, you know, the shop was slower because of regulations and things going on with COVID, I had to take a lot of my bookwork education, you know, through some of the online educators who I have, you know, met some of them in person, taken a lot of their courses. Not a lot, but some courses, you know, in person. So I think my apprenticeship was a little different than most piercers, where I'm not there every day learning because of the times, but I took it upon myself to really learn through other means.
Okay. That's super interesting. It's like, as I've been doing this, the more people that I've talked to, I think a lot of people like got the courage or decided to like make that career shift during COVID.
For sure.
Like,
I mean, you're stuck home, your work is unreliable, what do you do?
Yeah, I think a lot of people realize that like your typical 9-to-5 job isn't really as secure as they thought it was.
Right. I think it definitely shook up people as far as, can we work from home, or can we look into a different means of making money, or taking that time to get different education or maybe explore things that they wouldn't have. So yeah.
Now, do you have to take a state test too, right, or no?
So technically, no.
Oh, okay.
We don't. No.
Interesting. So you just do...
We're not licensed. We have certifications, and we do have yearly where we have continuing education. So once a year, you have to go online and retake some of the basics. And none of this is actually piercing related. It's more safety and contamination, bloodborne pathogens, things like that. Okay,
interesting. So you learned like most of like how to pierce per se, like via the internet mostly, or no?
So I don't recommend piercing yourself to anybody, So when I was younger, I was like, I want to do this so bad, I'm gonna pierce myself. I'm gonna, see what this feels like. And I started doing that at a young age, and it may be weird to some people. So I started out piercing myself, to be honest, because my parents wouldn't let me do it. They were very old school, born in the 50s. Like, none of them had piercings, tattoos, nobody in my family. So I started doing research online and watching a lot of videos and learning from some of the best piercers in the world. They video themselves piercing. You can pick up on what they're doing. Obviously, there's going to be practical parts of that where you have to apply that and learn from that. But I did have time with other piercers to learn. But I think I've had a little bit of education everywhere.
Okay, that's interesting.
Right?
I mean, like, again, I think anybody that got into any type of industry, especially if it was like people related, or like you had to deal with the public, there's like a very interesting story behind what they
For sure.
You had to get kind of creative. I mean, it's no different than me. Like, I didn't want to pay $12,000 for a dietetics internship via a camera. Like, I just didn't want to do that. And I think a lot of people, if they didn't go that route, came up with something creative to do via kind of like what you're talking about. I mean, you have to get creative, I guess, when they don't give you any other option. Now I wanted to ask, like, are you from Ocala area?
So I grew up in Ocala.
Okay.
I was born in New York. We moved here when I was 5, and until about 5 or 6 years ago, I moved to Summerfield.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
But so the Ocala area, yes, I'm pretty familiar with. We hung out here as kids, and
Yeah, I mean, Ocala, there's not much there.
There's not much there.
No. I know, when we moved from Volusia County here, we moved to Summerfield, and so, like, of course, I'm familiar with Ocala, too, and there's just still nothing there.
So my husband, he's from Orlando, and when I started traveling out there to, hang out with him, go on dates and stuff, I was like, this big city, there's so much stuff, it's always going. Like, I stayed out there for a little while with him, and it's such a change of pace,
I know, Ocala's starting to become its own little city.
Yeah.
Do you like it or not like it?
I love small towns. I love slow vibes. I grew up across from Lake Weir. Just kind of poor, and we played outside, and there wasn't any hustle and bustle, you know what I mean? So I love small town vibes. So yeah. I do like it here. Yeah.
Do you like it here? Do you like? I mean, I was more so asking like how much it's changed.
How much has changed? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think there are pluses and minuses, right? I mean, there's a lot of small businesses that are opening, and I love that. A lot of things shutting down. I know we see every day like different businesses that are shutting down. A lot of even bigger companies are shutting down, and it's like things have changed a lot for sure.
Yeah, I know Ocala's definitely, even like, and I've only been here for, I think it's been 7 years now, and even from like, I think I got to see like Slow-Cala, and now I'm not so
Slow-Cala.
Not so Slow-Cala. My wife's been, they're like generationally from Ocala, so I guess I married Ocala, so I get to hear about how much it's changed and how much everybody hates it, and I have mixed feelings about it. Of course, I'm a realtor, so I guess like it benefits my pocketbook that it's getting bigger, but at the same time, like I kind of miss like I like the quaint country lifestyle. I mean, I think there's something to be special to be said about it.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, you talked about how you only do 3 days at the shop, right? Now, do you work another job, or do you just do that?
I don't.
Okay.
So I believe in a good like work-home life balance. When I was working in offices, I found myself, working late until Christmas. I found myself missing holidays. I found myself working these 60, 70, almost 80-hour weeks sometimes to, provide and feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I was unhappy. So when I went to the tattoo shop, I was only needed a couple days a week. And I'm like, how's this going to vibe? Like, am I going to feel productive? Am I going to love this? Am I going to hate it? And it turns out, I get to spend so much time with my kids and doing other things that I love. I can stay home and read a book. I can travel to Orlando. I go to Disney. So many things that I have time for now that I only work 3 days a week. And piercing is lucrative. There's lots of money and opportunities in piercing that people don't realize. And I'm able to support my family and spend time where it's needed and not, kill myself for money.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. So you kind of like talked about there's some lucrative ways. Could you like elaborate on that? Just I'm curious.
So piercers, there's many different ways to make money. You come into a tattoo shop and some piercers are paid hourly. Some piercers are paid per piercing. Some are a little bit of each. That's where I'm at. Okay. You do get percentage and you do get tips. And I do find that people have been very generous. When they have an amazing experience with somebody, they tend to tip well. And I love having those connections with people where I feel like, I've respected them and, figured out what they want, the kind of look they're going for, and spent time, creating what they want. And people, and I know when I go out and I have a great experience, whether it's a server, a hairstylist, a tattoo artist, whatever it may be, I tip them well because I had such a great experience with them. Also in jewelry, there are ways to make money with jewelry. Bonuses, things like that, percentages. So there's definitely money to be made in the tattoo and piercing industry.
Okay, interesting. Now, do you sell any particular type of jewelry, or is
all different kinds?
There's all different kinds.
So
okay.
Yeah, not like rings or anything like that.
Well, no, of course. Yeah. Tattoo, all piercing related, of course.
Right.
Yeah. I was just curious if there was like a brand or if
there's we carry many different brands. We do have some APP compliant brands. We carry Mushroom.
What is that?
So, Association of Professional Piercers,
okay.
And we're not a member, but we try and adhere by a lot of their rules to give people the best quality of jewelry and standards that we can. We want to make sure that we're being safe. We're using, implant grade metals. We are, just doing the right thing by people. You know what I mean? We're not throwing 10-cent jewelry in people. We are, taking the time to make sure that they have a good piece of jewelry that can help them heal. And so we try and follow those guidelines as best as we can. And some of the companies, they are compliant. They have to have a certain grade of metal. They have to meet certain standards to be used. So we do carry probably about 4 brands that are APP compliant. Mushroom is one. We do have Neo Metal. We do have Juniper. And in the piercing world, these are the bigger names of the jewelry companies that people really seek out. They love the look of it. Some of it's higher end, some of it's a little more affordable. We do carry other brands as well, but those are some of the main ones.
Okay, interesting. I was just curious. Like I said, I know my grandmother cut hair for a long time. A lot of my family did that too, so I'm very familiar with that side of things. But when it comes to tattoos and piercings, I don't.
Great day to learn, right?
It's a great day to learn. I like learning new things. So you're kind of talking about there's a lot of different ways for people to make money, being a piercer, and so that kind of leads me into where I want to talk a little bit about social media and stuff. So I know you're semi new to doing this, but I think I think people that are getting into something new tend to find social media as something helpful.
Sure. So I haven't been piercing a super long time. I've been at the tattoo shop about 4 years.
Okay.
I've been piercing about 3 of those, but I really switched to focus mainly on piercing within the past, 2 or 3 years, where that is my main thing that I'm working on, that I'm trying to be better at. I started out with 200 friends on Facebook, like everybody does. I'm 35, so I see, you know, these kids making TikToks, and they're really getting out there with their Instagrams and their reels, and I'm like, this is so cool that you get, you know, a glimpse into what people are doing, and you don't have to show up. You can just watch videos and be like, oh, that's so cool, I want to do that. So I think social media is so important because it's a way for people to kind of get to know you without getting to know you in person. So I find on my social media, you know, I post about my kids. I post a lot of, you know, funny things, a lot of real things about, you know, being a mom, being a wife, being a woman. And I think that people can connect, and that's important because if I want to come get a service from you, I want to feel like we'll vibe. You know, like people trust me with their bodies. I'm taking a needle to your body. You have to feel comfortable. And I think when you get to know me through my social media, you're like, oh, you know, I really love this about her. I would love to meet her and maybe get pierced by her. So branching out in social media has allowed me to increase my clientele like phenomenally. I have quadrupled, you know, the amount of clientele that I have. Like, hey, you know, my friend got pierced by you and she posted a picture. Hey, I saw your, you know, your Facebook. And I post a lot of my work publicly and a lot on Instagram publicly so that people can see, you know, the kind of work that I do. And again, I'll post about my family so people can, you know, see my vibe and who I am. And I think that has grown my business so much.
Yeah, no, I think that's the beauty of social media is like you get to, for one, I mean, I guess maybe it's minus too, I guess there's plus and minuses to everything, but like
Sure.
you get to like see somebody's like snippet of their world and
Sure.
what they do. I think it kind of, it's a plus. I mean, especially being like a realtor, it's something that I have to do to some degree. If not, like you have to figure out, I think with maybe like with piercing, I think anything that like is like certificate based or whatever, it's like something that a lot of people, like I think because of COVID, a lot of people have jumped into, whether it be real estate, cutting hair, like I mean I've seen like a lot of people go into those ventures. So like anything you can do to make yourself different, and what better way to do that on social media, because it's like you. Right. And I think like you yourself will attract whatever type of people will like you and like your vibe. Like it's kind of like what you were talking about. And I think it's like the beauty of it. That's why I tell like a lot of people at the office, I'm like, unless you're gay and you are like kind of edgy and you like these list of things, like you're not my competition, because like you're not competing for the same clientele that I'm gonna get.
Right. Yeah, I actually made a post about that the other day, how I root for other women because they're not me, you know, and I support other piercers, and I think that's great because somebody might vibe better with somebody else, and that's totally okay. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. I interviewed Brittany, who owns 18-Hour Photography. I don't know if you know her, but she talked about that. She's like, you know, I have like a list of photographers who I will refer to, because she mostly does like very unique, like weddings. Like that's pretty much her thing. So she did like one wedding that was an elopement, like up a mountain, and they had to climb up a mountain and take pictures. It was absolutely phenomenal. I just love that, like you're talking about, that you can refer to other people. And I do the same thing too with real estate. Like I think more people that you know, it's opportunity for like you to probably have a better name too, because like if you don't vibe with somebody and it's not working, why force that?
Right.
Like I mean, it's just not, it's no different like in real estate. Like if I find a customer who hates me and we're not having a good experience, like why do I don't want you to leave me a bad review. Like, I'll refer you to somebody else, and like maybe it'll work out great and you'll be happier in the end. And I think,
and you're not going to vibe with everybody. No. Yeah, and that's totally okay. So I don't want to say brief interactions with people, but from like start to finish, depending on what you're doing, I'm usually with somebody about 20 minutes. So there isn't a whole lot of time to have a lot of conflict. You know what I mean? That's true. So I would say 90% of people, it's totally okay. You know, like I like to make people feel comfortable, you know, ask them about themselves, and then kind of see what they're putting out, so I know how to match their energy. But there are piercings that I won't do, that I don't think are safe. There are piercings that, you know, their anatomy just doesn't work for it to heal correctly, and I don't feel comfortable doing it. And I have no problem respectfully saying no, or being like, I just don't feel like this would be good for you, for your healing, you know, for our safety. You know what I mean? So I have definitely had to tell people that things wouldn't work out the way they wanted, but I always try and offer, you know, like maybe this won't work, but maybe this will. So a suggestion to maybe something they haven't thought about, you know what I mean? Because a lot of, I do a lot of ear work, so like styling of the ear, piercing in the ears, and there's probably 20 or so piercings you can do in your ear. And say you want a certain look, maybe you don't have the anatomy, maybe that piece, you know, that fold, it doesn't work. So I'll try and be like, well, let's look at this or try something new to suggest something else. But I've had people walk out and be like, well, I'm going to go up the road and go to somebody else. And I'm like, that is totally up to you. But I don't want to be the one to do something I don't feel comfortable with or scar your body for it not to work out. If somebody else wants to do that, you should question, what their motive is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I agree with that. I mean, you want every customer to be happy to some degree, and you don't want, like, bad reviews again, because, like, social media is so powerful.
Right.
And, like, I mean, one bad review really
it's hard.
It is. It's really, I mean, for anybody, honestly, I feel the worst for people that own a restaurant, because.
Oh, man, it's so hard.
I mean, if one bad review and then everybody's like,
we're in all these, like, restaurant word of mouth, Ocala word of mouth, and we see it every day, and it's like, these are all people as well, and they could have a bad day. We're humans, and I've definitely, in my career, made mistakes, and it's hard to accept sometimes when you make mistakes, but it's humbling to be like, you know what, maybe I was having an off day. Maybe I didn't do this, the best that I can, and take that in and learn from that.
No, I think that's important. I think social media kind of, it allows you to, like, really, I think the word I want to say is to, like, really focus on, like, your craft and making sure you're really good at it.
For sure. Yeah, and I think that the more people that are happy with what you provide, it makes more people interested in what you provide. I know I was at work Monday, and I pierced this girl, and she was so sweet, and we were vibing, and I didn't realize that the person that was with her was taking videos and pictures the whole time, because I'm facing her, I'm focused on her, and the person is literally behind me taking videos and pictures, and they made a whole post about it that got hundreds and hundreds of likes, and somebody I know was like, hey, this is Shannon, like, this is so cool, I've known her forever, and I click on it, and I'm like, I didn't even realize. So there is that part of social media where you can be put out there in so many different ways, and you don't even realize it. Like, I make this joke with my clients when they ask if they can, take pictures and videos, and I'm like, just get my good angle, because I'm always, like, crouching over people. I'm very focused on what I'm doing, so I'm always in, like, these weird positions and, like, really making weird faces, and I'm like, just get my best look, and sometimes we don't even realize that we're being photographed, and so we have to be aware that it's so easy to be put out there.
No, I know. I was like, it is true. I don't think I really, like, thought about, like, being, like, a piercer, but you probably do. Like, like, you're really you're really up and personal in somebody's face, and, like, making a lot of faces and doing a lot of things. So I could see where it probably doesn't always look the best.
There's so many bad pictures of me out there. Just look.
But hey, at least the work looks good. So that's
the work looks good. And there's me.
I guess you get it. If you were self-conscious, you got over it.
I find that being real about, like, my body and myself, I've been very heavy in my life, and it's humbling to see weird angle pictures of you, and you're like, oh, God, like, that doesn't look good. But, I mean, you have to be comfortable, and when you're comfortable, I think that makes the people you're working with comfortable. So they see, like, oh, like, she's great. She accepts herself. She accepts me. She's very body positive. She's encouraging. She wants me to be safe and comfortable. And these are the vibes that we want to give off. So I would never be, like, mean to myself, because if they see that, they're going to be like, I'm sure we all have hard days with ourselves, but I think loving yourself and, showing that energy to people, it makes them feel more comfortable to work with you.
Yeah, no, I think always, again, like, I think goes right back to what we've been talking about, like, being yourself on whether it's social media or with people, like, the more genuine you are, the better something comes out. I think overall, like, whether it's a service or if you're dealing with somebody, whatever the case is, I think it's super, super important. Now, I wanted to ask, like, what's, like, do you have any, like, interesting piercing stories, like, anything? I mean, I always like to ask.
This is, like, always the question we get, like, oh, what's the weirdest piercing you've done?
I know, I'm sorry to be cliche.
It is, but I think that I don't consider any piercing really weird. I do nipples, I do genital work, I do facial piercing, so I pierce everything that's safe to pierce. So I don't think there's anything that's weird per se. I mean, there are definitely some projects that I've worked on with people where we do something unique, or they have anatomy that's very different. Like a cute little cat flap, or they have, like, extra folds in their ears, or, like, when we see people that have different anatomies, we're like, oh, this is cool, this is different. It gives us the opportunity to try something a little bit different for you. So my answer might be kind of boring, that just there's nothing crazy that I've pierced per se, but just working with different anatomies I think is fun.
Okay, so like what's your favorite thing that you've done?
Oh my God. I mean, just working on like ear curations and meeting somebody and being like, what's your vibe? Do we like golds? Do we like silvers? Do we like black jewelry? Do we like, sapphires? Do we like diamonds? What colors do we love? Do we like chains? And really connecting and seeing, what they like, and then putting together a piece, something cohesive for them, and really working with them. So I have a couple ear projects that I just have worked so hard on throughout the years, and a lot of people don't realize when you're working on ear stuff, these piercings can take 8 months, 9 months, 10 months to heal. And these take, years to get, a whole ear styled. And working with people that come back to me and trust me to, do their piercings and really get a look that they love, those are my favorite pieces, like my favorite work.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like you really like to do like you were talking about like ear work and so much. I think
Yeah.
it's super interesting. My wife has like several different ear piercings.
I love it. Send her in.
I know she has several of them, and then she all 3 of her holes are gauged.
Nice.
So I don't know if her top one still is, but I don't. She's went through so many different phases. Since
Right.
we've been
I think
together.
we all have.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't care, you do you. But I remember whenever she went and got one of them done. Was it Bulgaria? I don't remember. It was out of the country.
That's cool.
Yeah, she went and had it done, and it like you were talking about, it didn't heal. It's like it did, but it took forever.
Yep.
And she was like talking like about it the other day. We were actually having that conversation, and she was like talking about how like some people, I don't know if this is true or not, but at least for her, like putting like a hoop in is like how she gets things to heal. So like maybe like what are some tips and tricks that you?
Oh my goodness. So I think that in this day and age, there have been so many rumors, misconceptions, healing wise. Back in the day, they'd be like, oh, twist and turn your piercing, it'll keep it from getting stuck. But research has found that the more we touch the piercing, the more germs, the more bacteria that's being introduced to this open wound. So the best advice for healing your piercings, honestly, is just a good sterile saline. There's a couple brands that are great. Spraying that on a couple times a day and leaving it alone. The more that we sleep on it, the more that we play with it, the more that we try and change it, things like that can all slow down our healing process. Our bodies are very smart. They know how to heal. If you get a scrape on your leg, are you going to sit there and mess with it and mess with it and mess with it? No, you're going to let it heal. So I think for piercing, simple is good, and it's good to leave things alone.
Yeah,
let them heal.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. What are some saline products?
So like we recommend NeilMed. We do use H2 Ocean.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, both of those brands are great. We use both of them. They both have their pluses and minuses. But just a sterile saline is all you really need. Spraying it on, letting it air dry. Keeping in contact with your piercer is always good. On my business card that I hand out, I'm like, I did your piercing, but if you need anything, like shoot me a message, like Instagram, Facebook, if you're having any issues, problems. A lot of people, they leave and they don't feel like, they don't have that support. So I'm like, this is me. Like, if you need something, and I've had people message me like, hey, this is going on. Hey, this is going on. And I love that people feel comfortable to come back to me. I don't like when people just give up on their piercings. Like if you're having a problem, we can help you, like figure out how to solve it so that you don't go through that pain in the process and then, be sad that you can't keep that piercing. So having a good relationship with your piercer, even your tattoo artist, things like that, these good relationships can really help your whole process. Some piercings need to be downsized and, fit once the swelling has gone down. So we do always recommend coming back and checking in with us in a couple months so we can kind of make sure you're healing well.
Actually, towards the end of every one of my podcasts, I always ask, like, what you're, like, if you were to tell somebody that wants to do what you do, what advice would you give them?
So I think that the piercing world is very open to new talents. I mean, there's always room to grow and learn. There's so many great educators online, even people that are on TikTok that, give advice and pierce and show you their piercings. Just start with following some of these really great piercers and checking out what they're doing, looking into safe practices and things like that. There's plenty of education out there. We just need to look. And then getting in at a tattoo shop that or piercing studio that you feel good about. Like, when I first started, I remember traveling to different studios just to check them out and see what they were doing, meet their piercers, and I've met a lot of really cool people that way. So getting yourself out there is probably like the biggest thing, and your education, which continues throughout. And I'm, a couple years in, I'm still learning, and I don't ever want to get to a place where I stop learning. So I think being open to growing with the industry and learning, and just get started, start meeting some people, start learning.
Okay. I know you talked about like there's some really great like piercers to follow and learn from. What are some of the ones that you?
Sure. So Lynn LaHyde, she's amazing. She is so real, and she will tell you like it is, and show examples of her work and how to set up her sterile fields. Ryan Alouette, he also is an amazing educator. He has a Patreon, and there's also Piercing Wizard podcast. So there are very accessible ways to learn from these people. And I'm not saying that this should be your education, but this is a good starting point to, get acclimated with what they're doing and learning from that and trying to hold a high standard.
Okay, yeah, no, I think it's important. I think in today's age, if you can't figure out what you want to do, I don't think you're looking hard enough.
Right, I think it's definitely out there. And like I said, I found that during COVID. I find it really interesting that, you're like, oh, I'm a rule follower, and I'm scared to get piercings or tattoos, but I think it's sad that we live in a society where it's like they look down on people sometimes who are pierced and tattooed. They're like, oh, you must have been a criminal, or,
oh, God, no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things like that. And it sucks because I've met so many amazing people with and without tattoos that get judged because, they choose to express themselves this way. And I know that the world is judgy. It's so, especially like I live by the Villages.
I'm sure. Have you always had all these tattoos, or did you have?
I started getting tattooed very young. I think I was like 16 when I started getting tattooed.
Okay, so you definitely like being in an office job. Did you have to wear like long sleeves and stuff?
So I have worked a couple jobs where I've had to take out my piercings and cover up my tattoos, and I always felt like it just wasn't me. I'm hiding parts of myself. And I think that's sad that that's still a thing where we judge people that way, and that we feel like we can't express ourselves, even with like hair color, things like that. The world is getting a little bit more accepting, I feel.
Kind of, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I pierce police officers, I pierce lawyers, people you wouldn't expect to be into this. They put on their shirt and they're tattooed all underneath, and I think that it is getting a little more accepting. Nurses as well. So there's many people that are into the arts, and they love it, and I think it's gonna get better.
I hope so. I personally, like, as long as you don't have trashy tattoos, I don't really like.
What's a trashy tattoo?
Like, a friend of mine, her boyfriend had like a clown with like big tits, and I'm like with nothing on, like just, and I'm like, that's a little trashy, like, I don't judge, like, I don't, like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, but I understand, like, if a business is, like, not okay with that, but, like, as long as
if you have, like, something hateful on you, or something really graphic, sure, you probably shouldn't be working with kids if you got, tits all over your arm, but...
Yeah, he's going to be a diesel mechanic, so I don't think it don't matter, if he probably fits right in, but, that for me, that's pretty much all I, like...
Yeah.
The only thing for me, as long as it's not, I don't
offensive,
care. Offensive, but like that's the only time I could see where like a business might have like a legitimate reason to be like, I gotta cover that up. Yeah. But I do hope that people like are become more accepting of tattoos and piercings, and like just are like okay with it. I mean, it has gotten better because like my wife's actually a school teacher, and she has like quite a very like large. She has like quite a large tattoo like on her shoulder. Yeah. And she can show it, and they don't really care. And they actually like most. I don't know if people know this or not, but teachers don't really technically have a dress code, and there technically is no rule. So like if you wanted to dye your hair, technically could. If you want tattoos all over you, technically can have all of that, or piercings. Like there really is no rule on that. I don't know if people really actually know that, but like the Florida standard, there isn't one.
That's weird. You would think there would be. These people are going to be working around your kids. But I find, so I have a 15-year-old as well. I find that, a lot of her friends come in and they're like, oh my gosh, you're Isis's mom. And, we go to school together, and it's so cool that you're a piercer. And I'm just like, well, the kids like me. They think I'm cool. So I find it easy to connect with, like the younger kids because I have a teenager, and I think that's cool that the kids in her school think that I'm interesting or this is a fun job, and they come in talking about it, and I think that's really fun as well.
No, I think it's I don't know. This younger age group probably does have a great time with you, and that you're a piercer, because like
teenagers are hard though.
Yeah, no, I'm sure of that. My wife teaches elementary school, so she's the art teacher. So she teaches.
That's amazing.
From kindergarten all the way to 5th grade, and the 5th graders they're a lot.
Oh yeah.
This past, not this year, but the year before, they were just a lot. But they but they were very like I could, and they probably are like generation wise, are probably I think they were Gen Z. So your kids Gen Z, so like they're in the same generation. So like there's a lot of this next group is very different. Drastically different. They're a different age group.
Yeah, I have a 5-year-old as well, and they're complete opposites. Like, one of my kids is really outgoing and loves school. One of my kids is more like introverted and likes music and art. So my kids are on very opposite ends, and the education that I see, like my son comes home from school and he's got like a ton of homework. Like he's 5, and I'm like, all right, buddy, let's get this story, like let's get it done. Let's write your words. And it's like, it's becoming a lot because I still want him to have a childhood where he comes home and plays and we can spend time together. But I do feel that it's excessive sometimes, and then my oldest, all of her stuff's online. Every single thing is online. She doesn't even come home with paperwork anymore. I'm like, everything's on this computer. They get their own little laptops, and it's so different from when we went to school. Yeah, no, it is. It's very interesting. I mean, like, even with my wife, like, her, they have, like, a curriculum for art. So, like, she must teach the curriculum, and, like, there's certain things that she, like, has to do. And so, to me, not that I'm saying that art shouldn't be, like, maybe structured, not just arts and crafts, because there is, like, more to learn, like, and that's important to, like, a child's, like, growth and learning. And art is important. Art's important. But I don't know if they need to be taking a standardized test on it. So, I just got a message from my son's teacher that was like, they're doing testing right now to figure out how they're gonna teach this year. And my son's 5, and I'm like, this morning we got him up, we got him his like protein yogurt, and we're like, get an egg, let's get some fruit, like you have this test coming up, and I don't want to stress him, you know what I mean, but I want him to realize that let's try our best today, and do what you can. But for testing 5-year-olds, it's like, no, I know. It's really rough, especially for the teachers, because they don't want to do it. Because, like, my wife has to, like, sit in for those tests, and, like, she has to, like, do them. They have to do them for gym, and they have to do them for music. And I'm like, and the kids hate it. Like, a lot of them, like, just Christmas tree it, and, like, they don't put any effort in. So I think my wife would appreciate that you, like, try to get your kid to be okay with it. But, I mean, like, a lot of them are, like, standing on the table and, like, freaking out. And I'm like, this is craziness. But at the same time, like, I mean, they are 2nd graders, like, kindergarten through 2nd grade. Like, they just can't sit through all of this. And especially, like, they're having to, like, guess, like, beats to music. Like, they have to know the synchronization of, like, music. And I'm like, I didn't have to know this when I was. We played the recorder. Yes, I remember, or like they had like the like a bell triangle thing. Yeah, but like I don't know. To me, it's just kind of this is insane. Yeah, my daughter was in band for probably 3 or 4 years, and this year she was like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, you've loved this for so long, and she's like, it's just too competitive. It's too hard. I just love music and want to express that, but like the grading and stuff, she starts having a hard time with. So she dropped band, and we've been to so many parades and so many events with the band to watch them and support them. What does she play? She plays all kinds of stuff. She does percussion. She did keyboard. She does all the flutes, clarinets, things like that. So she actually did a bunch of different music, and she just didn't want to do it anymore because of the competitiveness and how strict the grades were. And she switched to art, and she's having the best time of her life. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever makes you happy, I'll support. But I know. Yeah. So I'm hoping that at least, I think hopefully things just get a little bit more chill and everybody just loosens up a little bit and everybody's okay with like people just being people. Yeah. I mean, we're all here doing our best, I made a post on Facebook the other day about how I wanted to keep my son home from school to take him to Disney so we could just have a day to, family time. And, people were like, oh my God, like this is such an important time of his life for learning. I'm like, he's 5. He's 5. He can have a day to go to Disney. That's fine. Couple days. I know, whatever. Like, I mean, I just don't,
I don't know. I think and I know it's not really working because, like, I don't know, like, the standard, like, grades and stuff really aren't changing that much. So I think maybe if we had a little bit more fun, maybe it'd get better. I don't know.
I think that mental health is so important, especially now with the pressures of, money and bills and people not making as much and people feeling like they're drowning. And, now school is getting very, very tough for kids and work is tough. And I think we all need to take a minute and make sure we're all okay. Like, how you doing today? And just give each other grace in all aspects, in our work life and our personal lives and our friendships, so that, we make sure we're okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. I think it's important to ensure that you are in a good mental state, because I'm going to go back to this, like, even if you are, no matter what your job is, like, if you are not okay, like, you're not, like, the rest of your life's not going to be okay, too.
Right.
Like, genuinely, like, I don't know if you've heard of them, but, like, Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy, like, they're very, like, big entrepreneurs. They own acquisition.com. They're they make tons of money, but, like, in the very beginning of, like, starting, like, their own business, they were talking to their mentor, and the mentor told them, like, you need to deal with any shit that you have to deal with, like, any, like, personal issues you have, any people that you just, like, anything that's gonna, like, emotionally get you, like, down, you need to go deal with that before you run this race, because if not, like, you're not going to make it.
Right.
And I think it's true. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know I have. Like, I will do it. I will cut people out. I will do what I need to do to, like, stay be around positive people.
For sure. I think that when we take care of ourselves, it's easier to take care of others. And when we're dealing with stuff internally, it's harder to perform our best, obviously. Like when we're having, some nature time and we're eating good food and we're having good connection and we're reading books and we're enjoying life, that we perform so much better, and we can, snowball that. Like, okay, I had a great day. I'm going to catch up with my friend and they're going to have a great day, and just keep that positivity rolling. And I think that that's important. The same goes if I'm having a really bad day and I take that out on people around me, or I'm unhappy with myself, or conflicts and things that are bothering me where I'm not getting good sleep, or, it's definitely, it affects you in all aspects.
Oh, no, 100%. No, I think having a good, like, you kind of goes back to the beginning of all of this, is where you were talking about, like, having a good life, work-life balance is super important, because if not, like, I think we'd all just go crazy.
For sure. It's very important to take care of ourselves, and then, we're good to other people, and, we're all, like I said, we're all just here doing our best, trying to be good people, I think.
I would hope we are.
Anyway. I would hope we are, most of us. So, yeah.
No, I think, but I think this went really well, and I enjoyed you taking the time to sit here and talk to me.
I think it's really interesting to be on a podcast or a video. I've never done this before, so I was really nervous coming in, but I think that it's important to show people who you are and make those connections.
Yeah, no, that's why I do it. Like,
I love it.
Good, I'm glad. Like I said, I love doing it just to get to know people. So.
Perfect.
All right, well, again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you, and I hope you guys check out for next week. Thank you.